So yeah, I'm actually a software engineer. So yeah, today I'm gonna talk about product engineering mindset. What is it? Why it's important? How you could cultivate it in your organization. Yeah, a bit of myself first. So yeah, I've been in this field for around 12 years. I graduated actually the Technical University of Moldova, the building around here, around the corner. And yeah, I worked in a couple of companies here in Moldova, like Magnet Soft, Pentalog, and early on I moved to Romania to work for a product company named To Performant, where I spent quite a long time, where I also worked in a different types of roles. I worked as a product manager for half a year, just checking how is it to be in that role. I successfully failed a startup, and yeah, in 2019 I moved to London, where I joined Intercom and later Spotify. So a bit of a year ago, I joined Spotify, my dream company, the company which I loved to use their products, and I was like always wishing to be part of that team and help them to build the product. And soon after joining, I realized how complex a product could get when you operate it at scale. Any small problems you might experience in your product explodes as soon as you are in realms of hundreds of millions of users. And one way of solving the growing complexity is to structure your organization in a way in which you could effectively isolate a given problem and delegate those problems to a specific team or teams and let them autonomously find the best solution. Those teams operate like companies inside companies or startups inside startups with their own mission. And for example, in Spotify, or a team or a squad, how we name them internally, is decide autonomously what to build, and how to work together while doing so. Of course, there's some boundaries like the squad mission, which is usually dictated from outside, overall product strategy in the area, and the alignment of the goals between teams. I highly suggest reading more about the Spotify take on Agile on their blog post, on our blog post. It's one of the best takes, in my opinion, how to grow high, like how to implement Agile in high-growing companies. Of course, it depends a lot on how you want to structure your organization, and defining the boundaries, it's one of the hardest problems, not only in geopolitics, but as well in companies and ultimately in how you define boundaries in software. So this is what Conway's laws is about. Organization design system will mirror the way how you communicate inside the company. In simple words, yeah, software architecture will follow the organizational structure. So this is why it's important how you structure your organization, because this will dictate how the software will look like. Let's look at an example of an oversimplified structure of a B2B SaaS product company. Different parts of the organization require different types of skill sets. For example, the infrastructure squads might require over-specialized engineers, such as DevOps, DBAs, or SREs, while, for example, platform squads might as well need a highly specialized engineers, but like in a specific technology. Let's say that they're building the front-end framework, which will be used by all the feature teams. So this is kind of the teams which will enable the feature teams. On the other hand, the feature squads usually have a more generalistic type of software engineers who can easily switch between different roles. This is how usually we are naming them, like full stacks. They could jump between back-end, front-end, and do whatever is needed to ship the given product improvements. So let's deep dive on a features code and see how they might look like. So to continue the analogy of teams being small startups, in order to succeed, you need a highly motivated and proactive people who are dedicated to the mission. And the team should have a very clear mission, should be self-organized and cross-functional. And yeah, as one of the Jeff Bezos' motto is like saying, your team should be like 2 pizza team size. Yeah. So sometimes code teams might require specialized roles like product designers or ML engineers, data science engineers. Same goes about software engineers. You might need backend, like more backend engineers, or you might need more front-end engineers or mobile, depending of what's the needs and the right composition of your team. Because you rely as well on integrating with other teams to deliver your products, namely platform teams and infrastructure teams, software engineers need also to be like very collaborative and be able to closely communicate. So this is why it's very important, the communication skills in such codes. Okay, rolling back a bit, before Spotify, I joined Intercom. Then I was quite surprised by the title I was given as a software engineer. They have a very peculiar name. They're naming engineers as product engineers. I was quite intrigued by that. Like, what does it even mean to be a product engineer? Intercom has a very high hiring bar, and it's well-known industry as one of the best B2B products, at least in my opinion. They want everyone to be thinking and breathing product. Hence the name, product engineer. Here are 4 R&D principles of Intercom. Start with the problem, think big, start small, learn fast, ship fast, ship early, ship often, and deliver outcomes. And this is the culture. It doesn't matter what role or level you are, you're always following the principles. Here is a quote from the current CTO of Intercom, Darren Curran. You don't design your engineering culture by writing blog posts or printing posters. It's shaped by the people you hire, the things they do, and the traits you reward and celebrate. So let's look at how Intercom team looks like, how these mini startups operate. So Intercom goes a step further, and they empower engineers to be really cross-functional. Meaning they don't have a specialization like front-end, mobile, or back-end. They do everything is necessary to the team to succeed. They empower engineers to wear product hats. By getting in touch with customers and writing product briefs, proposals. It happens not once in my career that Intercom seeing engineers who lead definition of problem statements and business metrics, which is quite unusual, but this is what is a product engineer in Intercom. So I know you are very familiar with this picture, and I know engineers are a bit skeptical, like how I am supposed to build a bicycle from a skateboard. What does it even mean to have, what does like have in common, like a scooter with a car? I don't know, besides maybe the color or maybe having wheels. And it all depends on what perspective you are looking at. What if a friend of yours, let's say, needs to travel 100 miles and you want to help him? The car will be the best, and of course, but not sure how helpful like a skateboard will be, but at least it will be fun. So it's all about the empathy you are having towards the people who are in need of the solution you are building. Of course, Intercom has their version of this, and they're naming this cupcake solution, or how to bake a wedding cake. So you're not kind of putting the base, filling and icing, but you're starting with a smaller thing you could deliver to the customer. You improve on it by maybe even rebuilding it fully from the ground, and so on, by making sure from the day one you deliver value. So what is a product engineer? As a product engineer, I would join customers' call with the product designer and product manager. I would pick and experiment the code well in those sessions because I will not participate directly. I will mostly shadowing those sessions, and I will take notes and I will communicate with the product manager later on what are the easy wins and what will require a lot of effort from engineering side. I will always think thoroughly and make sure I deeply understand the problem and cooperate with other engineers in the team to come up with different solutions and trade-offs to the solutions. I will build MVPs solutions and I will ship them to the customers as early as possible to either measure or communicate with them and get feedback as early as possible from the customers. Okay, and now that I'm not anymore binded by harsh NDAs, I could share some details about the product I built at Intercom. So this is the story how we improved the customer support agents' efficiency by around 30%, which is it's a high number in the number of Intercom users. So, but first I was talking about Intercom. I'll introduce a bit of this product to people who are maybe not familiar with it. So this is an Irish unicorn startup who popularized the small bubble chat icon you can see in some websites, which allows you to have a light chat with the business. From end user perspective, this is just a chat. From business perspective, Intercom is an all-in-one customer experience tool, like from chats to automatic bots to help centers to those nudging emails which you might get if you looked at an item and you didn't bought it for some reason. So it's like kind of Zendesk, but on steroids. At least this is what I think of it. So during some of the system user interviews, which I also joined as a product engineer, we noticed how some power users were, like the support agents, were like using some external tools, scripting and hacking around the tool to respond faster to the conversation. We saw an opportunity to improve how the tool works, and in the same week, actually, we started experimenting spiking around common K version of how you could like just the Mac style of like getting access to tools. And we shaped a cupcake solution like in the first month, and we shipped it directly to our first beta customers. So what you see currently on the page is like a bit of like version 4. The first version just had like opportunity to just assign conversation to a specific teams or customer support agents and or insert directly saved replies in the editor. Yeah, it took like us another half a year and 3-4 more iterations to improve the customer, to improve the product based on the customer feedback. The project inspired as well, actually, the engineers in different teams who are working around the inbox tool, and we joined forces later on to rethink the whole inbox experience to holistically improve it. So, what is product engineering mindset? It's understanding the importance of cross-functional collaboration and proactively working with product manager, designers, user researchers, or any other stakeholders who might feed you insights. As a product engineer, you need to go the extra mile and learn about the customer's business processes in order to speak the same language and fully understand the problem. You need to discuss and understand the why behind certain features or decision, not just the how part. You don't just execute tasks. You are curious and proactively in seeking the root causes of the problem which customers are experiencing. By deeply understanding the business context, you can use your technical experience to make trade-offs between technical perfection and business needs. And of course, you value speed and iterative approach, and you always asking what is the minimal solution which will solve the customer pain or validate the hypothesis you have. shipping something from which you could learn is much more valuable than a perfect technical solution which no one needs. So, and of course, like as the old Facebook motto was saying, move fast, break things. You should not be afraid of failing. This is how you learn. And finally, as Leo mentioned, you need to be focused on outcomes. Don't focus on outputs like number of PRs, lines of code you shipped, or tickets you solved. Instead of that, try to focus on user satisfaction, retention, business growth. And I have a feeling, and sometimes I copied some of your ideas there. The product engineering mindset is questioning everything. Is this really the most important thing you should be working on? What if you don't do this? These are some of the questions which engineers need to be like asking product managers. And as a product manager, you might sometimes might have a hard time working with a person with such a mindset. But keep in mind, they're not questioning the work you did in your briefs. It's more about, it's more about like trying to deliver the best product and accepting and encouraging the healthy conflict in these ideas is how you will build the great product. So then engineers think beyond the code and understand business needs and user needs, and they can often come up with innovative solutions and feature what weren't originally even considered. You also make the development process more effective by reducing the back and forth between product and engineering teams. And engineers generally find more satisfaction in the work when they understand the broader context and can see the direct impact they are having with their efforts on the users and business. So, as a product manager, you might need to make sure you encourage regular interaction between engineering and product, or design, or any other relative roles. So you need to encourage engineers to get into like what you are thinking about and what you are trying to solve. You need to communicate and expose engineers to customers' pain points regularly. It could be directly by involving them into researchers' calls you are doing, or even sharing the notes and learnings you have made. Everything from quantitative to qualitative feedback. This is how you will help develop the product empathy in software engineers. So, yeah, spend time building shared understanding of what customer problem is and what are the business metrics you are trying to move, and how you're going to measure the success of your changes you want to introduce. Before even like building the full features, this is why prototyping and experimentation is very important, because you need to encourage small experimentation to validate your ideas. Don't just go and ship the ideal solution, but try to think what's from the ideal end solution we want to achieve, what is the smallest thing we could ship. And yeah, you need to as well be able to, if something does not go as planned, turn this into a learning opportunity and always like celebrate the success, because this is a good look back, and which is what's growing the mindset, like what's encouraging the growth mindset and the sense of ownership of own engineers on the product. So rolling back a bit more, as I mentioned in the beginning, in 2013 I joined a Bucharest-based company to Performant, the first affiliate marketing platform in Romania, and was lucky to be pretty early on. And for more than 5 years, I was helping to build one of the few Romanian products who had a successful IPO, The company was at the beginning pretty small. And when I joined, I was working from one open space. I remember helping customer support directly to triage incoming feature requests or doing, like, trying to understand the bug reports, which was failed by our users. And there was like only one engineering team for quite some times, and we're building like billing features and taxation system while scaling our infrastructure to 20x to handle all the traffic for Black Friday. And it was a wild ride. And I was embracing the ever-changing product with all my heart. No bureaucracy, no processes, full ownership of a product, and full commitment to solving the user pain points. So, in other words, welcome to Control House. Chaos. So, is this chaos a lack of structure or just a typical turbulence of a startup? I name this more of a product engineering mindset. The openness to learn and do whatever is needed to deliver the great product. Yeah. And with this, I'll say thank you.
It works. I'm curious to know about how often do you conduct customer interviews, and how do you decide on the regularity with which to conduct them, and also how do you prioritize the features to work on next?
Okay, so thanks for the question. So the first part. So as a product engineer, it's not necessarily conducting them. You're more like shadowing the interviews. You'll usually like be along. It's not necessarily to be in those meetings as well. It's very important depending on how product manager communicates down the line the customer's pain points. It could be either through like a recording of that meetings. It could be through notes. And like it's kind of the more you are doing that, the more engineers will have the willing to join those interviews and be there for themselves. So this is to the first part. And to the second part about prioritization, so this is like when we are doing this type of working sessions and brainstorm sessions in which the whole team gathers around the problem which product manager sets, and we are all trying to understand if this is really the problem, or and if this is like what the solution space looks like. You could have like different solutions, and we would usually like split and like, because we are a team of multiple engineers, we'll like pick up different spikes and we'll like decide, okay, I will try this type of solution, I'll try this type of solution, and we'll run it with time-bounded boxes of time, let's say for several days or a week, usually, and we will see what we learn from that. Is it like how complex is to build like this solution? How much value could they get? Sometimes we could even like collaborate with the designer to build a prototype, which is not even code, and put it in front of our customers, like have another session with them and try to learn, is this solving your problem in any way? And yeah, and the same with the spikes. If it's something which maybe it's not fully shaped feature, you could still ship it to the customer and see, are they like more happy? Are they in more pain? And yeah, you could, based on that, decide the priority of what features you're going to build, kind of.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Hey, so we saw some product engineering mindset from Spotify, Intercom. Imagine now you have opportunity to be a CTO of a new organization, and you have some great idea. Which product engineering mindset will you steal from your experience, or from a friend who say like before he has a good product engineering mindset in their company? So which one will you choose and why?
I think it's about setting the correct principles in your organizations and making sure you are growing them for the engineers. And yeah, I would say like remember the the posters I shared about Intercom, I'll like heavily steal them, I guess. It's great mindset, that it's a great way of like having, like then you make a decision like, should we do that or that? Should we do it like slower or faster? And this is when you make these trade-offs. And yeah, I would steal those. They're actually, like, to be honest, pretty common between all companies which build products. You can see they'll always be biased towards like having something shipped, towards like experimenting with something before even like having like a planning session, developing this like big product which will think it will solve a problem, but we don't know. And actually, this what I also like, I think I'll encourage more for other companies to do is like do this type of customer interviews or any other methods of communicating with your users. I saw a lot of companies who just build whatever they think they should be building without even speaking with their customers. I think enabling this feedback loop is a great opportunity to make sure you are building the right thing. Yeah.
Hello, Sava.
Yeah.
Just wanted to ask you about how you decided as a senior engineer what you keep to yourself to build and what you give to your team, and if you do any coding at all. And second, also in continuing, how much do you compare yourself with Apple iTunes, Apple Music while you're building your products at Spotify, I mean?
Yeah.
And and if you can overall explain what is your from the bird eye view, what is your process in the team?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. I will try to pick it from the beginning. I think what you're referring to is like how do we own the technical part, not only the product part. Yeah. So as engineers, we are empowered to make decisions, technical decisions, what we should be like, how the platform should evolve long term. So how we do that, usually we'll have like this split of time between when we do product experimentation and when we do like core like improvements to the platform. Again, it depends a lot on the structure of the organization. You may have different teams who take care of the platform as a whole, which is an amazing feature of big companies. And you spend quite a long time actually in trying to refine the problem statement even before coding. So yeah, how long time do I code? I guess still it's like most of my time. Yeah, it's just that I think the product part, making sure that you are solving the right problem, is harder than the building the software, if it makes, like not building, writing the code, if it makes sense. Follow about the processes in the organization and how do we compare? Yeah, well, in terms of do you copy the competition or do you build and do you understand better your customers? I think the better approach is always to start from the root problem and trying to understand your customers. If you're trying to just copy a competitor, usually this is just it's a game in which you lose because you're always behind. You don't have your strategy of how you build your own product. Yes, we might look at competition, like look how they solve the given problem, but we will always be biased towards us understanding the problem and have opinionated solutions. Just to be ahead and not behind. About the processes, in Spotify you could read about the agile take, Spotify take on agile. I think this is how the blog post and some videos were around the internet. So yeah, you have like to be like fully honest. You have as a team full autonomy to decide however you want to work. You just have some alignment outside of the team about how you're going to communicate about the goals you are trying to solve or if they're aligned generally with the organization. But it's up to the team actually. Like in my presentation, I was trying to explain that every team is in a bigger company is kind of a bit of a startup or a company in the company. So this is why you kind of have a full autonomy to decide whatever rituals do you want to have, I don't know, or it's for the team to define what best works for them. Especially in this world in which you might have a full which is in the same location and they could go all to the office, or you could have a full remote team, or you could have a team spanning between different time zones. So it's hard to build like one process for everyone which fits everyone. So it's more about like trying to understand what works for you, for your team.
One more question, please. Yeah, hi Sava, thanks a lot for sharing your experience. I've got two questions. One, how often do you get questions from the people you meet for the first time, whether you have a mistake in your last name, should it be Virtosu or Virtuos? Quick one, yeah. And another about your planning strategy in Spotify. Like, do you have a roadmap? Do you have OKRs? Do you plan ahead set of features you will be working on? And if yes, if some feature requires reiterations, how do you deal with the fact that that thing took more than you expected? And please, if your answer is longer than 3 minutes, I was asked to like keep it short. Like if it's longer, let's then discuss afterwards.
Okay,
Thanks.
I'll try to be brief. Thank you for the question. And yeah, so planning is a hard problem. Planning is a hard problem for every company, and usually like as the company evolves, you evolve your processes always. So yeah, we have OKRs. We actually swapped them recently. We're always like trying to understand what works best. Again, like we will have some very, very broad goals at the company level. We'll try to push them down to the organization, to the product areas, to see how they could help achieve those goals. On the other hand, we try not to be like top to bottom. We are trying as well to enable teams to decide what they think is the best type of goals they should be taking. So we are trying to align what the teams think is the most important goals with what the company thinks we should be doing now.
Is it the case when company speaks in language of metrics, like we want to have conversion rate increased by 5%, and then teams are coming with initiatives they believe would help with that?
Yes, but it depends a lot on the sub-organizations you're working on. You'll have usually this type of metrics per sub-products, because it's hard to have, like we have some metrics at the general product direction, but they sometimes do not fall very well on the specific product you are building currently. And there is a lot of different type of initiatives. So this is why usually you might have small metrics at product area level, I would say, something like that.
Okay. Thanks a lot, and
yeah, we could catch up more, and I could give you more details.
I'm glad Spotify can enjoy some Moldavian Technical University wisdom. Yeah.
Thank you,
My
Sava.
pleasure.